Yeah, there you go.
All right. So this one session is going to be 3 different videos. I don't know.
You can splice them.
I don't know. Actually, you know what you should do? You were going to take that tortilla taco. You should just make that up, and then we'll just put it in a bag, and then you can take it to go and have it for the morning.
Okay.
But I just want to get this stuff put away. Actually, if you wanted to see what we ate, the soup's not out here, but today was a meat day. So if you're a carnivore or an omnivore, you would love this stuff. You got some tofu, yada, yada, yada. But anyway, feel free to make your burrito, taco, whatever the heck you wanted to.
No, it'd be great breakfast.
You know what is, well, there's a lot. I would do the carne asada myself.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how the framing is, and I'm not a camera person, folks, and none of this is scripted and yada. It's really not even planned out.
Today's about introductions.
It is about introduction. But then there is work to be done. Now, you haven't given a name to your property, have you?
No.
I've given a name to mine. I've given mine a name.
What's your name? I haven't heard of this.
The Back 40.
The Back 40.
Actually, the real Back 40, because I have a separate channel that I've done nothing with. But, and I was talking to my brother down in California today, and he's going to come up at some point.
Okay.
And he's also going to walk me through the drone stuff so we can get drone shots, which is going to be really cool, by the way. I just am not confident enough in my drone skills to have done it on my own. And so, he's going to come up. I'm going to put him up at the resort so he can, because I just have a fold out here. I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. Fold outs are the worst. Although my sister is coming up in March, and I'm like, hey.
Dude, come hang out.
It's up to you.
Come on.
If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Make it a party, man.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
Margarita.
It's not even a queen pullout. It's a full size.
Oh man.
I know.
I mean, I think some of our conversations have been about travel. I've definitely cuddled and snuggled and slept in some pretty tight spaces on a full bed and felt very grateful. So I don't know. That sounds like a good deal to me.
Look, I had my time in Africa.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, by the way. That was back even younger than you.
Yeah. Mark was bumping around in Africa, making stuff
Solving
happen.
all the problems of the world.
Yeah.
Solving famine, drought, pestilence.
All the small things.
Yeah, well, actually, it was interesting that you were talking about that urban garden. People who hadn't. Sorry, I don't know about this camera stuff. Sorry about that, because he probably like looking at my belly. I did the same thing in my village. Was that they'd never had vegetables. I mean, what they eat is very basic because it's just what's around them.
Yep.
And we were on a big river. We were on the Senegal River. And so I started a cooperative with the women, and they each had a plot in the garden, and we grew. I mean, it just blew them away. And I made sure that when I left, that the garden would be able to still go on.
That's
so you
cool.
had to be careful, because what happens is a lot of times is people just throw money at projects like this, and thinking that that's going to solve it, or they give them a pump. In fact, that's what had happened in my village. I was originally supposed to be a rice grower.
Yeah.
So I was trained in growing rice, and I was supposed to work with the men's cooperative in my village. So when I got out to my village, pump doesn't work. None of the machinery works for the rice fields. They didn't even grow rice. They did it 1 year, and then it just went to hell. And it's in the Sahara Desert, etc. And it just was. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Why are you bringing in technology that the folks can't even use?
Yeah. And
that's going to be obsolete, or if you're going to get ruined. So I just did basic seed plots, like seedlings, and then every woman had to put in a certain it turned out to be like $1 in their money.
Yeah.
And to get their 5 meter by 5 meter roughly plot, and we fenced it all out, because you got to fence out the camels and the antelope and all the other creatures, and And it was real success. So they had lettuce for the first time. They had big tomatoes for this time. They'd had cherry tomatoes, like just grew wild. And let's see, lettuce, bell peppers. Yeah, I mean, it was just really an incredible experience. So I think it's kind of sad that you had to work at an American urban center and you had almost the same type of experience that I had in West Africa. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about.
It's telling. It's telling.
It is telling.
How did you get the seeds? How did you get the seeds for all that? That's really interesting. I haven't heard this story before.
So in the capital, and I was 2 days out by bush taxi from the capital. And so I was able to get seeds, I think it was from a United Nations agency.
Okay.
And they gave it to me for free because I didn't want to do anything that the villagers were going to have to pay or that were going to have long-term costs after I left. And it's a really dicey game. And you have to kind of care a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know how many people would care about, you know, my village was 150 people. I don't think many people really care about folks over there. But it was really good. And then I was able to, I segued in, so that was 2.5 years. So it was 2 years, then I extended half a year because I was a cross-cultural trainer. So when new Peace Corps volunteers came over, I was the American half of the native team to kind of like, because I had brought up the point, it was always just the Mauritanians that taught us about their cultures and, you know, the do's and don'ts, because it was a Muslim country. It was a military dictatorship. So you had to really be careful, especially women had to be really careful because it was a Muslim country. I'm going to lose my train of thought.
Seeds.
Thank you. And yeah, but there was something there. I had already gone off on a tangent. By the way, I'll go off on a ton of tangents. So your job, Mr. Tucker, is to keep me on point. Anyway, so I just wanted to make sure that anything I did, I wanted them to just be able to continue it. And I'm sure that's not what I was talking about, but that's okay. And it worked out really, it just worked out really, really well. I know that wasn't what, in about 10 minutes I'll remember it. Let's see, it needs to be done by hand. And that's where I met my, I know. So I had told the Mauritanians when I went through my training and everything, and then after I'd been there for 2 years, and I said, it doesn't make sense because you've got Americans coming over from a totally different culture, and you're not looking at it from their eyes and how they're going to adapt to it or how they're going to take it in or what they need to know to be successful in your culture.
Yeah.
And so they're like going, oh, wow, that's great. Because we were only getting the Mauritanian side, the native side. And so that's when we made up, I was the first one to be the American counterpart of the Mauritanian, and we kind of did it together. So that was kind of my first teaching, I guess, in a sense. And it was really cool. So I did that I extended for 6 months. And then, and it was during, so I extended for 6 months, did the cross-cultural stuff, and then I got a job with USAID, which was a completely different experience. And I don't even think I've even shown you pictures of my experience.
No, I haven't seen it.
You won't believe it.
Shoot, we should put them on the. We should put them on the video. You should put some of the pictures on the video. Give some context.
Oh,
that would be cool.
Well, I'll do it because I don't really share that kind of stuff very easily.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I will. In fact, you don't know this, but I've been having to go through all these photos that I've had collected for 60 plus years. I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot. I was an exchange student in Brazil, and I just grew up in a little farming community in Central California, but I was fortunate to be able to travel, have a mom that single mom that was a teacher, and every teacher break, so summer, Easter break, Christmas break, all those, we would travel. And we would drive in a Volkswagen van, 4 kids, and the old lady, the mom, and my younger brother was born deaf. So you got, it sounds like a sitcom. But we drove up to Alaska one year in August before they paved the road, the Alcan Highway, which was a cool experience. And then we also did a lot through Latin America, through Central America, actually. Got to know Mexico quite well. And then when I was a sophomore, my mom took a sabbatical when I was a sophomore in high school, and my younger brother and I and my mom, we went and lived in Mexico for 6 months. And then when that was up, we traveled like the next 3 months throughout other places in Mexico. And then we went to Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. There you go. There they go. That's why they used to call me Mr. Geography back in the day.
The day. Yeah, one of the reasons Mark and I originally got Skookum got together on the same page is I had recently come back from Central America too, and we were relating over the trials and tribulations of travel and the beauties and the horrors, and explaining to him some of the things that I had seen in Guatemala and just how wonderful that was. I'm a big fan of travel too, and have done a lot of it so far, and looking forward to doing more. And
I think when you told me about Guatemala was the first time I realized that you had a more extensive background than I mean, because I knew that you were pretty young,
right?
So it boggled my mind that somebody your age would all of a sudden mention the word that I just got back from, the words I just got back from Guatemala. I'm like, cool,
yeah,
because now that's a conversation I can have, and that you can have with me, because you're going to come back here and not many people are going to understand what the heck you're talking about, and you're all like excited to go, oh yeah, it was so cool, and people are like going, yeah. And
it gives us something to relate over too.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But I think that as far as Positively Peninsular is concerned, I think that I don't know if I can speak for you, Mark, but my experiences traveling really teach me a lot of gratitude. And I think that the international traveling especially is really humbling to see how happy people are. Even especially in developing countries, and I think that I take a lot of that back to the U.S. with me, and I take that a lot of that back to my property, my friends, my family, and I think that's a lot of the way that I've grown up. It's a lot of my background as well. Is you taking a lot of those lessons and feeling at home on the road and feeling comfortable on the road, and yet now taking a moment to build my own space and to build a home.
But it's a risk, isn't it?
It is.
Everything that you've done kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the whole risk-taking thing. I'm pretty risk-adverse, and that may be because of my generation. My mom was a Depression era, so she grew up, she was born in like 1929 or 30. And so she had that mentality growing up of, thriftiness and the whole Depression era mentality, and unfortunately I have a little bit of that too. And what the hell were we talking about?
Risk.
Oh, and so she was not a risk taker. My family, we weren't risk takers whatsoever, but I wasn't a risk taker. We were very conservative, kind of just straight, narrow lane. You didn't go out of your lane ever. And so it really wasn't until Peace Corps kind of was, that whole experience. Even though I traveled a bit before then, it was really the Peace Corps experience that just changed me. It just taught me so many lessons, and I'm kind of excited to share, how I've been able to change and grow and hopefully be a better person than I view myself having been
Yeah.
through this process, and I know that we're going to be touching on a lot of these things going further, hopefully a little bit more in depth. I know we want to talk about relationships. I know we want to talk about resilience, freedom, the risk taking again, overcoming obstacles, which is kind of resilience.
Yeah.
But taking on challenges, that's kind of risk taking. But there's certain themes that we really want to talk about, and I think relationships can either drag us down or build us up. All the things we want to talk about are going to be hopefully like lifestyle or self betterment, I guess. Be your best self, lead your best life, put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of how we're viewing it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great idea. Maybe post some pictures, and I don't know how to do all this, but we'll try to figure it out. He should be the techie dude, not me.
He's got advisors. Techie advisors.
So now you're saying I'm hearing voices? On that note, folks, should we bow out for the evening?
That's wise.
Because you have to get going before the storm hits.
Yep.
And I know that your island is getting hit hard. Because I read about it. I was like, ooh.
Is it really? Oh my
It was listed before my area.
No.
And we're only, 15 minutes apart?
Yeah, 23.
Well, that's pretty specific. Jeez. 23 minutes apart. As the crow flies or as he drives? Don't get me started. We may talk about motorcycles at some point.
We might.
Don't. That's a different kind of freedom. All right.
Pleasure to meet everybody.
Do you hear me? He's just saying that. He just doesn't want to talk about the motorcycles anymore.
No.
He's obfuscating. Boy, that's a mouthful. Let's see, where's this pan go? So anyway, folks, I'm really excited. I hope that those of you, I know that some of my former students are going to be subscribing, and obviously relatives and whatnot, but hopefully we can, we're looking at this as being a relatively local thing in terms of the peninsula.
Yep.
But hopefully just be able to spread some positivity and make some new friends, and all is not doom and gloom out there if you don't want it to be. I know sometimes stuff just seems to be too heavy that you just want to kind of bury your head in the sand.
And that's absolutely not what this is about.
No.
It's all the beautiful, positive things that life still has to offer, and that
I used to bury my head in the sand, and it doesn't do you any good. I'm going to post that picture too. The picture that I think I showed you.
I know exactly what you talked about.
That was the other journey that I was talking about earlier about, but we'll go into that. That's a whole nother thing with my sons and whatnot, and them allowing. Anyway, it's a kind of a very heartwarming story, and it changed my life, and I owe it to my boys. So
I owe a lot of gratitude to the people in my life too, and it wouldn't. It's not one focal point or one thing or one person, but just a plethora of really brilliant, kind, generous people.
Yeah, and honest.
And honest.
Honesty for me is paramount.
Yep.
Honesty is paramount.
Yep.
So anyway, that's a topic too. Honesty.
Honesty
is a topic, and but we want to weave it in. And I apologize that it's nighttime, and we should try to do some daytime things just to kind of get folks a sense of everything. And look, our journeys have not been easy by any stretch of the imagination. I think what we found out in our talking is how similar everything was, and yet we still came out on the other end pretty good people.
Yeah.
But it takes work. It takes effort. And some of us come to it sooner than others. You came to it pretty quickly. It just took me a lot. My generation, I think, just takes longer.
Man, I think it's everybody, I think for me, I think that finding out what was important to me and what I wanted, it was just, either, or what's that saying, do or die, And I think that purpose and intention is a great means to redirect bad energy. You know,
bad juju.
maybe some bad news from childhood, or you know, something that isn't so positive. It's give intention to something, give energy to something, and all of a sudden I'm rebuilding or building back, or recreating something that you know, originally wasn't so pretty, and I really am grateful for that part.
It's kind of like my life. I'm recreating my life.
Yeah.
At this age, folks.
This age.
I know. I say I'm not a risk taker. I guess this was a risk.
Absolutely.
But I'll be honest with you. I don't know about you, but I really didn't think I could swing this financially. And I think that's a topic we should have too, about, you know, finances, because I think I pronounced that weirdly. But we don't really, like, they don't teach you about finances, and then all of a sudden you become an adult, and what's your biggest stressor? Finances.
Right.
You know, so maybe we can help out with that. That'd be a nice topic. Because I don't know about you. Again, like I said, I certainly did not even think that this was going to be a possibility, an option for me.
Yeah.
I'm also a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. You talked about it kind of earlier. I look at it as things just happen for a reason. There's no rhyme or reason. I unfortunately live under Murphy's Law, which is that if something can go wrong, it will. And so, anyway, on that note, the positivity Peninsular is out of time and energy, and I crash very early because I get up very early. Unlike some people who
Whoa, take it easy.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been fun, folks. If you want to leave comments, kind of give us any help or anything like that, you know, feel free. We are hoping to maybe take it live.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool, because it's supposed to be a podcast. And so I know this is going to be on YouTube, but I think that's the direction we'd like to go into, where we can actually have conversations.
Yeah.
I know one thing we did want to do or get out of this was to be able to give some props and send out some positive vibes to folks who have been really good to us, who are really good people. And that if you're looking for some kind of work to be done in landscape arena, land ownership arena, I just would like to give a shout out to Kyle and Salita over at Hodgepodge Farm. Dynamite folks. They're the folks that led me to this guy. Same people that led me to my general contractor. It's like, they're like the grandfathers. And I'm sure you'll meet them at some point. We'll be introducing a lot of these folks. Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Bring it all together for you. And so they just do a lot. They do excavation, paving, and everything. They've just been wonderful and have steered great people. I'm a new person on the block up here. It's a very small community. I could be an outsider for the rest of my life. And this is where I'm going to die. This is my death home. I call it forever home, but it's basically a death home. Yeah, because death is not forever. I'm really excited about this opportunity. I'm so happy that you were interested in wanting to do this. I know it's been a struggle to try to organize it.
There've been 4 or 5 dinners before we tried this one.
We kept saying, okay, let's do the podcast this night. It didn't work out.
Yeah. It's gonna be out of plan. I think this went pretty well.
I know, but I bailed last time. I apologize for that. I have a hernia. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Probably next week, right?
Yeah, good deal.
Peace out.
Hey.
All right. Positively Peninsular, Tucker, Mark, we'll see you next week.
Ciao, ciao.
All right.
Peace.